The morning of January 28th, 2025, dawned with a quiet tension on Wall Street. By noon, the Nasdaq had plunged 3.1%, erasing over $1 trillion in market value, a sell-off so violent it rivaled the 2020 COVID crash. The Dow Jones, meanwhile, clung to a 0.65% gain as investors scrambled into defensive stocks like Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola. The catalyst? A Chinese AI startup named DeepSeek, whose low-cost R1 model upended the trillion-dollar narrative of Silicon Valley's AI supremacy. Here's how the chaos unfolded, minute by minute, and why markets may never look the same. The fuse was lit in Asia. At 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, benchmark tests confirmed DeepSeek's R1 AI model, developed for just $5 million, had outperformed OpenAI's GPT-5 in reasoning and coding tasks. Even more startling, it ran on older Nvidia H800 chips, hardware banned from China since 2023 under U.S. export controls. By slashing computational costs by 90%, DeepSeek proved that AI dominance didn't require Silicon Valley's bottomless budgets. Retail investors in Shanghai and Mumbai piled into DeepSeek's app, pushing it to #1 on Apple's U.S. App Store overnight. This isn't just disruption, it's a full-blown paradigm shift, tweeted Usvath Damodaran, NYU's valuation guru, as pre-market futures signaled a bloodbath for tech stocks. At 9:30 a.m., the carnage began. Nvidia, the $1.8 trillion chip titan, cratered 17% at the open, its worst single-day drop in history. The sell-off erased nearly $600 billion from its valuation as investors questioned whether its pricey GPUs were still essential. Analysts drew parallels to Cisco's dot-com bust, with CNBC's Jim Cramer quipping, Nvidia just became the first trillion-dollar company to lose $500 billion in a day. The panic wasn't isolated. Chipmakers like Advantest and Tokyo Electron nosedived 11% and 4.88%, respectively, while AI infrastructure players like Constellation Energy, a nuclear power supplier for data centers, collapsed 20.8%. Even Microsoft and Amazon, which had bet billions on data center expansions, dropped 3% as investors recalculated the ROI of their cloud empires. By 11 a.m., the shockwaves hit energy markets. Constellation Energy's 21% crash triggered a domino effect. Natural gas futures dropped 4%, while solar ETF TAN slid 7%. Analysts at Goldman Sachs noted DeepSeek's efficiency gains could slash projected data center energy demand by 40%, upending forecasts for LNG and renewable investments. The AI energy boom just became the AI energy bust, wrote Bloomberg's Liam Denning, as traders dumped shares of NextEra Energy and AES Corporation. Crypto markets mirrored the turmoil. Bitcoin briefly plunged below $100,000 as leveraged traders liquidated positions tied to AI-themed tokens like Render and BitTensor. Retail investors, who'd poured $7.3 billion into Nvidia stock during the dip, flooded Reddit with posts like HODL or fold. NVDA's bleeding out. The CBOE Volatility Index spiked 20%, its sharpest rise since the 2022 Fed taper tantrum. At noon, the sell-off turned political. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio accused DeepSeek of intellectual property theft, citing its use of scraped Western data. This isn't innovation, it's espionage, he declared, calling for a TikTok-style ban. China's state media fired back, with the Global Times framing DeepSeek as proof that U.S. sanctions had backfired. Silicon Valley's monopoly is over. The narrative split: bubble burst or buying opportunity. By 1 p.m., Wall Street's analysts were at war. Bears pointed to Nvidia's price-to-earnings ratio of 54 as proof of irrational exuberance. This is the dot-com bubble 2.0, warned Vanguard's Joe Davis, who had predicted a correction months earlier. Bulls, however, saw a fire sale. Wedbush's Dan Ives urged clients to stay long, noting DeepSeek's model lacked enterprise-grade security. No Fortune 500 CEO will trust critical AI ops to a Chinese startup. Bernstein analysts echoed this, calling the sell-off a knee-jerk overreaction. Retail traders played a wild card role. Platforms like Robinhood reported record volumes, with $562 million flowing into Nvidia alone. Social media buzzed with theories. Was this a repeat of the 2020 GameStop frenzy? One TikToker quipped, "Buying Nvidia at $400 feels like catching a falling guillotine." Meanwhile, institutions quietly rotated into healthcare and industrials, with United Health and Caterpillar gaining 3% and 2.4%, respectively. The drama peaked at 2:30 p.m. during Fed Chair Jerome Powell's press conference. While he kept rates steady, his warning about speculative excesses in tech valuations fueled another leg down. Nasdaq futures halted trading for 15 minutes as circuit breakers triggered, a first since the 2020 COVID crash. By the closing bell, the damage was historic. $1.2 trillion wiped off tech stocks, $108 billion erased from billionaire fortunes, and crypto's market cap down 15%. The next morning, markets staged a partial rebound. The Nasdaq clawed back 2%, while Nvidia jumped 9% on rumors of a $50 billion stock buyback. Bitcoin stabilized above $103,000 as crypto whales scooped up discounted AI tokens. Analysts debated the rally's staying power. Morgan Stanley asked, "AI winter or AI reset?" predicting the sector would emerge leaner and more competitive. DeepSeek, now a household name, dropped another bombshell. CEO Zhang Wei announced plans to open source R1's code. "Democratizing AI is our mission," he said, a move that could ignite global regulatory battles. The EU fast-tracked legislation to audit high-risk AI models, while the U.S. Department of Commerce hinted at stricter chip curbs. In India, startups like Zoho raced to replicate DeepSeek's frugal innovation, signaling a shift in global tech dynamics. For investors, January 28th exposed the fragility of the AI narrative. Companies like Nvidia had ridden hype to dizzying heights, but DeepSeek proved disruption could come from the unlikeliest corners. As Kathy Wood of ARK Invest noted, the market isn't afraid of competition, it's afraid of obsolescence. The day's takeaways? Diversify beyond hype cycles, scrutinize valuations, and never underestimate an underdog with a better algorithm. In Silicon Valley, the response was swift. Microsoft and Google announced plans to slash data center costs by 30%, while Tesla unveiled a prototype AI chip built in-house. DeepSeek, meanwhile, leaked ambitions to develop artificial general intelligence by 2027, a goal that could make January 28th look like a minor tremor. As for retail traders, they're already scouring Reddit for the next Nvidia. Some things never change,